Hey, what's up everybody? Rob here, Ram Studio Comics. Welcome back. So in today's video, I'm going to draw some poses with you, talk a little bit about dynamic poses and what makes them a bit more interesting to look at versus their static counterparts. So with this particular one, just drawing a character like leaned over and kind of holding a weapon. And this is always good because, you really want to get in that habit of drawing characters interacting with things in the scene. That's one way to totally eliminate the overly static feel. I mean, you can see this guy is stationary, but just by adding a weapon and him perched up on a rock or whatever that's supposed to be, I don't even know what I'm drawing apparently, but it takes it from being too boring and plain Jane. So I think these are always a great way to kind of warm up, loosen up, because if you just get in that habit of drawing your character standing upright, you're only testing one part of your imagination. You're not really stretching your imagination, I guess. So in this part, character running, this is obviously pretty traditional, but with a character coming towards camera, I always think it's a bit trickier because you have to really, work in the foreshortening. You got to overlap the forms and the shapes and get that effect that they're coming out at you. So that's always tricky. Running poses for me are always tricky anyway, so I'm sure you'll see some inconsistencies here or flaws. But the beauty of rough sketching is you don't really have to get it perfect or anything like that. It's just very, very much a way to loosen up and get the ideas flowing, and then move on to the next one. So that's why I love gesture drawing and why gesture drawing is so important, really, because you have to start studying the flow of the body and not worry too much about the details. Now, with something like this, I'm actually refining it a little bit more, so I am kind of working in some details, but I still made sure not to go over about 10, 12 minutes of sketch. I still try to keep it somewhat rough sketch, and I wasn't looking at the clock, but at the same time, I didn't want it to take hours to draw out 3 different poses, so you got to kind of gauge yourself on that time so that you're making the best use of your time and you're not eating up an entire day trying to work through some poses. I do notice too that when I draw them quicker, they're just more expressive, and that's again the beauty of gesture. Like, you just really want to start learning that and getting that into your work, because they tend to come out more energetic anyways, so the end result's better. Now, the other thing that I want to make sure to mention in this video is I'm working on a new course for Udemy, and it's going to be how to draw dynamic superheroes from start to finish. And it's going to be a lot of this, what you're seeing here, but kind of more step-by-step approach and, a lot more in depth. And I've been requested this for quite some time, but I first started with my first few courses were more like, how to use the programs and how to do basic figure drawing and, kind of almost like preliminary classes and things like that. So this one should be pretty in-depth and hopefully something you guys are looking for. But I'd love to know in the comments section below what you think. And keep in mind, you could take the how to improve your figure drawing to get kind of ready for it, almost like prerequisite, and then step into the comic drawing one that's going to be more advanced and more with dynamic anatomy and foreshortening and all that stuff. And by the end of it, we're going to create a very detailed project file. So we'll basically create a cover to a comic book. And we'll talk about all the stuff that goes into that, pencils, inks, colors. So hopefully it'll be fun for everybody. And again, I would love to know what everybody thinks so that I got good food for thought going into the production of it. That's why I wanted to make sure to mention it in today's video. So yeah, this one, just wanted to do more of a lean back character. So notice too that I made the attempt to do like a, leaned over character coming forward, actually 2 of them, and then 1 going back. So I think this is important as well, so that you're like varying up the way that you look at the torso and, the leg poses in correspondence to that, or the limb attachments in correspondence to that. And then as I got to this part, I started to stylize the line work. So again, another way to kind of just practice and study. Like, it's like I could have just rough sketched it. I'm like, let me try to play around with some line work and stylization of the lines, because that's something I've been trying to really hone in my own art style lately. I just want to really get a kind of a unique way to do my lines, and so I have to always take time to practice that. It's weird because it's like, well, wouldn't you just do your finished artwork and that's where you practice it? And that makes sense as well. But sometimes I just feel like I need to practice it off on the side of the page. Like I do this even with my traditional drawing. I flip the page over and I draw on the back of it, and I do like all this experimental, what I consider experimentation and studying, even though it's my own drawing and it's like, I've done it 100 times over, who knows, 1,000 times over at this point. I'm still always trying to figure out something new with the work. So that's what you see me doing there, just playing around with the line work and trying to, be a little bit more expressive with that. And then obviously doing some little soup markings and things like that. So yeah, always fun to do these poses. I think it's a great way to warm up, and it's just always interesting to me. Like I can never draw enough poses. So I'd love to know what you think in the comments section below, as well as what you'd like to see in the future. As always, keep drawing, keep having fun, and I will talk to you soon.